morning, ladies and gentlemen. Lucas here again. As I've published and notified everybody, tonight I'm going to briefly talk about digestion. But before we talk about digestion, the majority of people has asked me, what about weight loss, weight gain, can't pick up weight, can't gain weight, all that. All those are seriously related to health and wellness. I'm going to discuss a few things of those, and the most important one I'm going to discuss tonight, maybe elaborate on one or two extra things, of which is the most important one of all is, believe it or not, stress. Now there are 7 different kinds of stress which I mentioned the other night. The stresses are being obviously physical stress, chemical stress, mental stress, emotional stress, nutritional stress, traumatic stress, which is a very, very high one, specifically in South Africa at the moment, and then obviously psycho-spiritual stress. Now I'm going to explain a bit about each and every one. Physical stress is when people do too much exercise, though the mental capacity or the mental drive of a person is higher than what the physical fitness of the body is. And even so, even if they are fit, they tend to push themselves a little bit harder. We know every year, with every marathon, with every cycle race, with every comrade, with every whatever they may be, that takes high physical energy from the body. There are physical stresses, and what happens is the mind is stronger than the body, which is a very dangerous thing. So the body burns out far more because it's not used to that kind of stress, physical burnout. So what happens is with that, the heart eventually just says, listen, I've had enough and I'm going to quit. Needless to say, a heart attack, many people die like that. Some people end up in hospital, some people have enlarged hearts. So I'm not going to elaborate on that at the moment. Then the other one is mental, or at least the labor. When people physically work too hard, yes, work can kill you, believe it or not. When people are driven and the body is not used to that kind of physical work, then especially if it builds up during over a period of time, a lot of the people have a lot of physical stress. I mean, I've had it many times, but luckily I knew from a very young age, back in the late 70s, early 80s, I used to train and do a lot of training with the army troops, and also then a lack of sleep. That is a physical stress. Your body needs at least, I know there are people saying 4 hours is enough, 6 hours is enough. Yes, it can be, but depending on what your day is like. In normal, 1/3 of the day of 24 hours, meaning 8 hours of sleep, is normally a good parameter, normally a good guideline. So if you can sleep, I'm talking about sleep. I'm not talking about going to sleep. I'm talking about sleep and rest. Rest is crucial, absolutely crucial. The body needs to recover. And in that, the body needs to be totally relaxed. Otherwise, as many of you know, you sleep, but you wake up tired. Those are all stresses, physical stresses. Secondly is when you travel, jet lag. I know I've done many trips down to Cape Town. I've scanned people, 7 o'clock at night, I drive back another 12 hours back to my home, start the next day, and so on. After a week or so of this, trust me, it takes a toll on your body, it takes a toll on your mental capacity, it takes a toll on your normal thinking, of your rational thinking. And then I know I've reached the end. Then I take off a day or two, and the stresses are still high. The demand of people wanting scans and wanting advice. We make all our own natural stuff, which I will in the next or in the future, I will discuss all that. Then we get chemical stress. Chemical stresses vary from preservatives in food, from allopathic medicine, synthetic medicine that man-made, from being in toxic environment, from, I know, the Lowveld, for instance, in the air, I know down in Cape Town with the refinery, I've tested many of those people. The wind that blows away from the people that are downwind of, for instance, the refinery, or in the Lowveld, where Eskom and all these guys have all the power stations. The carbon dioxide in all coal, there are elements, for instance, cadmium, lithium, iron, which is in a chemical form. The people actually breathe it in. I can see it as clear as daylight on the scanner that I have, from area to area, from place to place, which area these people come from. And without a doubt, those people that do not take care of their bodies and they have chemical stresses, we have the capacity and we have the natural remedies to actually clean out the lungs, to actually recuperate that and build up actually a resistance to that, an immunity to that. You won't be fully immune if you keep on breathing in the wrong air. That is also, and remember, chemical stresses also come and they actually inhibit the cells, and the cells actually die, but it prohibits the cells from regenerating and renewing the body with wellness and with health. So that is critically important, and the imbalances of that is because of chemical stress. All stresses, no matter which one of the 7 there is, and normally they're in a combination of 1 or 2 or 3 of these stresses. They combine, and for instance, physical stress can combine with chemical stress, can combine with nutritional stress, and that just is a snowball effect, and it just heaps up on the wellness of a person. Then you get the mental stress. You probably have an exam tomorrow, or you need to go and testify in court, and you're not well aware of all the facts and so on. What are they going to ask? You need to go and see a lawyer. You need to speak to your boss tomorrow. He's called you in and he said, I need to speak to you. Little do you know what it's all about. That is all mental stress, or abuse. Verbal abuse is a mental stress, and that normally mental stress is, in that capacity, is normally combined with traumatic stress, which enhances the problem. So all of those contribute to weight gain or weight loss, metabolism. I'll explain that in a few minutes. Then you get nutritional stress, and that is when people eat enough food in volume, but they don't eat enough in nutritional value. The vitamins, the minerals, and so on that each person needs. No 2 people are the same. Please remember this. No 2 people, what works for Joel doesn't work for Jack. So don't, I've seen it so many times where people come to me, yes, but it worked for my aunt, or it worked for my uncle, but my grandmother used to use this. Their mental capacity and their lifestyle is different to yours, is different to what we are living in today. So the nutritional stress, your burnout, you must always replenish what your body, what your mind actually consumes, and what is used to function properly. So the other thing is, what we need to remember is, when the nutritional stress goes down, automatically the mental stress goes up, automatically the subconscious psycho-spiritual stress to a degree goes up, then your thought patterns start going into the wrong direction. What am I doing wrong? You just don't feel well, and that means that the capacity that you can maximize in your body in wellness does not reach up to your standard of living. And it's not to say that your standard of living is extremely high. It's just that the burnout on that is. On mental stresses, I found that, believe it or not, the highest mental stresses that I find are auditors, lawyers, all those that need to take responsibility for their clients, which they need to really think, and they really need to take authority and their responsibility to make sure that their clients, I've seen it so many times with auditors, financial people, financial managers, business owners and so on. Year in or month in, boy, their stresses go through the roof, their mental stresses go through the roof. And at the same time, their normal replenishment in their foods and vitamins stay the same. However, their burnout double or triples. It's almost like driving on a flat Free State or Karoo N1 going down there. You're just freewheeling. It's good. And all of a sudden you hit a mountain pass going uphill all the way. It's the same effect on mental stress with people with higher responsibilities. I find that many workers, they just average between a 2 and a 4, whereas mental stress with business owners, financial people, teachers these days are very high as well, because they're not allowed to discipline the children in a proper manner. I'm 100% for discipline. So their mental stresses are extremely high. The children backchat them. They actually verbally abuse some of these teachers, and I feel for those. I also feel for the mental people, for instance, single parents, be it fathers or be it mothers. Trust me, I'm a single father to my little girl, and the stresses that I have, I cannot explain to people, and I take my hat off to all the single parents, be it both mothers or fathers. They have a very high mental responsibility stress, and that burns out energy, believe it or not. It burns it out. So mental stress can burn out up to 50 times, 5,000% more energy out of the body than physical exercise, believe it or not. That's the truth. It's been proven over and over. It's not all that go up to 5,000% or 50 times that, but it can go up to that. Then obviously spiritual stress. That is a very dangerous one. That is when, for instance, people feel guilty, that God hates them. A lack of understanding of God's love. A lack of understanding of, they feel guilty. The woman looked at another guy and she thought this guy, now she feels guilty because of her husband. Be careful of where your thoughts go. God is love. God has given us all these things as remedies. If God didn't love us, I promise you, He would never ever have given us all the right foods, all the right remedies, that there is no a plan B for it. God's work and God's gift to us, be it in food, be it in Christ, which is the highest gift that any man can give. He gave His life for us. And I will not compromise, and I will not apologize for being a child of God, because He saved my life in that. Right, now let's get to nutritional facts and what we need to know in digestion. Digestion is probably one of the highest things to replenish. Obviously, to eat the right food, to replenish that. First of all, let's start off with digestion. Digestion doesn't start when the food is in your stomach. Digestion starts when you've actually smelt food. Now, if you can't smell the food, about 50% of your digestion is already completely disbanded, or it won't work. For the fact is that if your zinc is too low in your nasal cavities, that you can actually smell food, your digestion starts when you start smelling the food, and you need zinc for that. Zinc is also extremely important for the replenishment of, for instance, new cells. It is a act as an antioxidant and supplement for an antioxidant, supporting your cells, your immune system, there are so many things that zinc is important for. I can't mention them all now due to time, and I don't want to make this video clip too long. Then, for instance, your digestion. When you consume food, when you actually eat food, you actually take it into your mouth and you have teeth. Your chewing determines okay, let me rephrase this. Smelling food activates the pineal gland, the pituitary gland, the gallbladder, the liver, the stomach acids, the saliva glands, all those. They kick into motion. That's why people say, when I smelled that, my mouth started watering. That is your saliva glands. Your saliva adds to your stomach acid. Stomach acid's pH, that means the acidity of that is between 1 and 3. Now that means it's very high. But your stomach lining is made to actually absorb that. Your gallbladder, the pH of that, of the bile, is between 7 and 9. Now, the gallbladder is vitally important because the gallbladder, after the food has been dissolved with the acid, the gallbladder comes and neutralizes the acidity so that the absorption into the gastric gland, all the nutrients and so on can, under normal circumstances, be absorbed into the body. So when there are stresses, the whole body tightens up. It's like taking a dishcloth or a towel. You wring it and you put it into water. Because it's so tight and you put it in the water, you take it out. How much will it actually absorb? The same thing happens when the body is tense, be it any one of those 7 stresses. It doesn't absorb. So what it does, it actually stores, or it doesn't metabolize, so that you can get the energy out of the food that you've eaten. You find that a lot of people, the zinc also, because of stress, it causes acidity. Acidity will burn out the zinc. So needless to say, you need to add zinc for your metabolism. You also need oxygen. Now when people stress, any one of those 7 stresses, their lungs tend to tighten up. I'm not even talking about the smokers. I won't even go into that one at the moment, because they're nullifying the amount of oxygen. Oxygen depletes and helps depleting and break down food. That's why they vacuum pack food. If you take the oxygen out, it doesn't deplete. It stays fresh. It's oxygen that actually depletes it and actually breaks it down. It helps and assists on that. So when people's lungs are tight, and I've seen that probably 75% of people that I've scanned over the last 5 to 8 years in that. Then obviously the digestion is, believe it or not, when your lungs tighten up, your lungs movement, the movement of your lungs actually move your intestine, it moves your small intestine, it moves your stomach where the food is being dissolved. So when it just lies there, it's almost like putting clothes in a washing machine, but you don't turn it on and you expect it to be clean. It doesn't help. So at the same capacity, your lungs need to actually exercise and do exercise to actually move your intestines so that digestion can actually do that. I find a lot of couch potatoes or people that are just simply depressed, or they don't feel like doing exercise. For the simple fact is they have some sort of stress, be it mental stress, be it physical stress, be it nutritional stress. They just don't feel like it. So when your lungs don't actually operate, your food actually just lies down. That then enhances the additives, or at least the storing of the nutrition, and it stores it in the form of fat, meaning overweight. And therefore, trying to lose weight when the metabolism is neutralized because of stress, because of nutritional stress, because of certain things, an imbalance in the body, you will never lose weight. These quick schemes that you can get for losing weight is very dangerous, because you completely nullify, you're cutting away your arm to lose weight as such. So that won't work. It needs to be in a natural way. It needs to be in a responsible way. And those are the only healthy ways to lose weight. Secondly is, when people are in stress, they need to understand, and people need to understand, 2 things happen with people that are in stress. Either they don't want to eat, or they overeat. They are comfort eaters. And in that is when people stress as well, the body needs to replenish vitamins and minerals, in other words food. It needs to replenish nutrition. So what happens is you find that a lot of times people go for a second helping or a third helping, simply because the body says, listen, I still need some of this or some of that in the body. And now when food is properly prepared, you are nutritionally fed and not volumely fed. People gain volume because the balance in that food, in the preparation, is wrong. And people can actually become obese for simply becoming food addicts. They simply eat too much because they got used to it. The same as what a child can become a drug addict from too much sugar. The same as what somebody can become a coke addict. The same as what somebody is a smoker. The same as what somebody becomes an alcoholic. Your body gets used to it and then it craves it. So be very careful. Processed sugar is very, very dangerous. I have seen that so many times in children with ADD, ADHD, concentration and so on. Processed sugar, especially with sweets and so on, I don't mind to cheat one day or 2 days, but they need to be nutritionally fed. Then they'll have a craving for what is right and not what is nice. Always remember, take food that is good for you and your body will start craving that. On that subject, pregnant mothers, eat as much natural, stay away from sugar, stay away from smoking, stay away from alcohol, please. If you want to have a healthy baby, do not indulge or just completely stay away from rubbish, to put it bluntly. Eat nutritionally all your vegetables, you eat your cheeses, you eat your fats, you eat your meat, and meat, by the way. Are we allowed to eat meat? Absolutely yes. And we need to eat the fat on the meat as well. And I'll explain that later to you, because I've seen that so many times. I've scanned, probably in my lifetime, let's put it over the last 4 or 5 years, I've probably scanned about 50 vegans, and they were actually dissolving, simply because they didn't have the balance of the protein that meat can give you, the protein that vegetables can give you. I'll go into that one the next time. So stress and combat stress is critically important, please. Then your thought patterns. Take every thought captive that exalts itself against the knowledge of God. And again, I come back to the Bible. I'm not a Bible puncher. I just know that the Bible works. And that's the whole thing about health. That's the whole thing about wellness. That's the whole thing about the truth. The whole truth and nothing but the truth. So help me God. And I'll explain that in a later stage. Some people won't believe it. The fact of the matter is, I've proven it over and over again. It works. It is a fact, it is a truth, and it works. The people that apply it actually have the benefit of it. People that don't apply it, well, then they look for another answer. There are lots of answers, but there's only one solution. Do the right thing. Please, people, I'm going to give you my email address on both of those. This is my email address on them. I hope you can read it. I'll leave it there for a second or two. And please write me on those. And you're most welcome. And I will answer your questions. And I'll get back to you. Okay. Then I will also submit to those people that do email me on personal questions. I will give you my cell number and my WhatsApp number. And I'll get back to you on that. Well, that's enough said for tonight. And this is actually a 5, 6, 7 hour deal, and not just one lesson. It's not just one quick 20-minute or 24-minute video clip that I can explain all of that. So to lose weight, do we have solutions for that? Absolutely we do. And I can give you advice on that. And each person, again, is different. So please bear with me. I will help you as much as what I can. And you guys be blessed. Really appreciate you all. And God bless. Thank you.